controversy surrounding convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein is heating up. A House committee has voted to subpoena the Justice Department for the Epstein files. The committee also subpoenaed Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, to sit for a deposition. Meanwhile, a Florida judge denied the Trump administration's request to unseal grand jury records for investigations into Epstein. House Speaker Mike Johnson joined the Takeout with Major Garrett to discuss his concern over these files. Listen.
And to the point when the Trump Justice Department said there were more than 1,000 victims, for people who knew this case very, very well, did a lot of investigative work on it, that number surprised them. High number.
Yeah.
Meaning that to their minds, investigative reporters and others, there have to be accomplices, uncharged accomplices, and that aspect of justice is still missing.
Yes, and it's of great concern to us. I mean, we want full transparency. We want everybody who is involved in any way with the Epstein evils, let's call it what it was, to be brought to justice as quickly as possible. We want the full weight of the law on their heads.
But when the Justice Department said in that same two-page memo, there's no reason to pursue further prosecutions, many said, how can those two things be properly aligned?
These are good questions. I don't know. I've never seen the Epstein evidence. It wasn't in my lane. But I have the same concern and question that a lot of people do. And look, I think the president
This is not a hoax,
well.
in other words.
Oh, it's not a hoax. Of course not. I mean, they're real.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us now from the White House. Good morning, Natalie. Walk us through this new Wall Street Journal report about the president's alleged inclusion in these files.
Good morning, Errol. Yeah, the Wall Street Journal and what it's calling another exclusive is reporting that the Justice Department informed President Trump that his name is among many in the Epstein files. According to their new reporting, the name appears multiple times, according to officials who spoke to them. But the article also notes that the officials said the files contained what they felt was, quote, unverified hearsay about many people, including Trump, who had socialized with Epstein in the past. The Journal also noting that just because someone's name appears doesn't mean it's a sign of wrongdoing. And in a new statement from the Attorney General and her deputy, Bondi and Todd Blanche, say nothing in the files warranted further investigation or prosecution. As she goes on to say, as much as part of our routine briefing, we made the president aware of the findings. But keep in mind, Errol, as you've been talking about and as we've been reporting, this push for the files continues among even supporters of President Trump and members of Congress. There's bipartisan agreement there, just a matter of when and how much. CBS and other reporters spoke to Republican from Tennessee, Tim Burchett, one of the members who's been pushing for more information. Here's what he had to say about the Wall Street Journal report.
Before he was indicted or whatever, that he said this guy was a dirtbag. He banned him from Mar-a-Lago. That's been pretty well documented. And you've seen the pictures. They knew each other. Just because you're on the list doesn't mean doesn't mean you're a pedophile.
He also noted that the president has been transparent about his past relationship or socializing with Epstein before their falling out. Now, the White House, the communications director, issued a statement about this new report, saying in part, the fact is that the president kicked Epstein out of his club for being a creep. This is nothing more than a continuation of what the White House calls fake news stories concocted by the Democrats and the liberal media. Errol.
And we'll have more on this topic later this hour. Natalie, I want to ask you about a separate topic. The Pentagon's internal watchdog obtained new evidence that messages Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth sent via Signal did have classified information in them, which the Pentagon initially denied. What do we know about this?
Well, remember that the Inspector General of the Pentagon launched an inquiry back in April after it was revealed that the Defense Secretary and other administration officials were taking part in this messaging, this group chat on Signal in which they were discussing a military strike. Well, now two senior officials with knowledge of the matter tell CBS News and James Laporta that the Pentagon's internal watchdog obtained evidence that the encrypted messages that were sent from Secretary Hegseth's Signal account included details from a classified email. As you remember, Errol, when we were talking to experts and former officials at the time, they said based on the nature of what was being discussed, that was very sensitive information, likely classified. Now, the IG's office not commenting officially, and a Pentagon spokesman says the department stands by its previous statements that no classified information was shared via Signal. Errol.
All right, Natalie Brand with all the latest for us. Natalie, thanks.